telling Jesus that something is impossible is always the wrong answer. When Christy and I were church planting in San Marcos, we were a very small church for a good while, and we were renting a facility from the university there. And we outgrew it, and they were going to tear it down. They had other plans for it. It was beautiful. It's right on the Spring Lake. Yeah, just a beautiful facility on beautiful grounds on the Spring Lake there, Aquarina Springs. But they had plans to tear it down. They gave us notice, hey, we're bringing the wrecking ball soon. You got to find another place. It's like, man, we don't have any funds. What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? And one of our members was just walking down the street and passed by the old library in town. It was no longer the library. They rebuilt. It was a 12,000 square foot building. And he saw the people out there that were using it out on the lawn talking. And he just asked them, you wouldn't by chance want to sell this place, would you? It wasn't on the market. It wasn't on sale. And they said, as a matter of fact, yeah. And he said, well, we're a church, and we're looking for a place. And yeah, we'll sell it to you. And, it prays for this much, but we'll give it to you for this much. And that was great, but we still didn't have that money. And we didn't really have anything in savings. We were a new church startup. And we just got together as a church and started praying. And then we went to our bank and said, hey, we'd like a loan. And they said, well, you're not good for it. Sorry. And we just kept praying. And then there was a credit union that said, hey, we'll work for you. We'll see how things go and give you a year to see what happens. And in that year, I don't know where all the money came from. It came from some people in the church. Some of it came from outside the church. But all of a sudden, we had the money for the 20% that we needed to buy the facility. It didn't add up in the beginning. How's this going to happen? And yet it did. God works like that. When he calls, he provides. Jesus, he wants this multitude fed. Philip, where do we get bread? Philip's answer, we don't. He says 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, that every one of them may have a little. It's like 200 denarii worth of bread won't even give them a crumb. Philip is saying it's mathematically impossible. Lesson 1, telling Jesus that something is impossible is always the wrong answer. Well, that's Philip's answer. We don't have the funds. Now, 1 denarii, that was a day's wage, a denarii. 200 denarii, that's more than a half a year's salary. So we're talking a lot of dough, a lot of bread. The situation looked bleak. And then Andrew arrives. He brings a boy who brown bagged it. That's Andrew. This is what he's known for, bringing people to Jesus. Who introduced Peter to Jesus? Yep, it was Andrew. And he introduces others to Jesus. This time he has a boy with him, a smart kid, the only one who was smart enough to bring a lunch with him. Andrew says to Jesus, there's a lad here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. Oh, but what are they among so many? Have you ever felt this way? I have very little to offer Jesus. I have little resources. I have little time, or whatever it is. Of what use is my measly offering to Jesus? What use is it? What difference will it make? Well, so long as you hang on to it, it won't make any difference at all. It'll be rather useless. But when placed in the hands of a mighty God, your small offering will do mighty wonders.